Hello everybody. We are playing Targaryen, who's a provisional 1256. Only 11 games, but hopefully they're around the proper rating range. Let's find out. So this is the first person to go f4, but we're still going to continue with our plan in the center, creating a pawn duo. My opponent proposes a take back, thank God, and we recapture with tempo on the bishop. He gives us a random check that helps us develop. His bishop's hanging. Here comes a second random check that helps us develop. What will he do? I already likes black's position, as this f4 is out of place. He takes, and now we develop a new piece, our queen. We don't have a light square bishop, so our queen acts as a replacement light square bishop. He makes a pawn move, developing the bishop, but he can't activate properly because he played f4. He puts his bishop here. What is the threat? To take the pawn because of the pin. What's the drawback? It walks directly into a pawn push in the center, which gives my pieces more scope, restricts his pieces, he undevelops, and now I castle. I'm already crushing him because he has no development, and this alignment is terrible, and here comes rook e8. So this game's over. He can interpose because of the pawn. He has to move one of his heavies, and his position is really bad. So he chooses the queen. Of course, we're going to improve a piece for free, but no buts. That's what we do. We give this check, and then we improve our queen for free, get it towards the king side. And this is a beautiful outpost for a knight because the queen's in the way. So depending on what he does, maybe we can reroute our knight there. And you can see how overwhelming this position is. So he doesn't address our threats, he tries to break out of the cage. But I'll call that bluff, and I'll let him hit my queen. I'll take that pawn, because it's not like he can queenside castle in one move, right? So now I'm going to take another pawn. Oh wait, the rook is hanging. I forgot I had this. That's checkmate. Okay, so that was a 15 move checkmate. Don't know what that was. Good thing I didn't move automatically, right? I would have missed an easy mate. The problem is my vision only gets half of the board at a time. So my brain only thinks of half at a time. Really bad. We have all zeros, but it was only a 15 move game. Center and development. Development and center. Center. Development for free. Force move for free. Force development. Force development. Force development. Developing in center. Improving our position for free. King safety and development. Development for free. Improving a piece for free. Improving a piece for free. Free stuff. Checkmate. Next game. So now he plays the Sicilian, Hermann Hesse, rated 1238, against our 1e4. So he does that setup. Let's bring out our bishop and take the knight if he lets us. He does let us. So now we're going to play d3, create a nice little pawn chain, preparing f4, and it'll just be a nice even game. He creates this dragon structure, dragon bishop, and we could play f4. He plays d5, and I think now, because he made pawn tension, this is a great opportunity for us to push past, blunting his bishop, restricting his knight, And then whenever he pushes, we now always have the beautiful e4 square. So I like this. I like this a lot. We're going to put our knight here, our knight here, our bishop here, castle. So he hits the knight, but as mentioned, we have this beautiful central square with tempo nonetheless. If he sticks his queen in here, maybe it's a little odd square. He goes f6 trying to break everything down. Okay, that's interesting. I wonder if we could just take it and then however he recaptures, pick up the pawn though. He has this check. Is there no way out of it? I guess there is no way out of it. That's annoying. Wait, after a move like this, and b4, and he takes, and yeah, there's nothing cool. So if we ignore takes, I'm just going to develop, build up my position since this pawn's not actually hanging yet. For it to be hanging, you have to castle or play bishop d2. So we'll just do normal stuff and say if you want to spend your turn, you can take, but it's still supported, your knight still can't come out, and you'll have an isolated e7 pawn. So your pawn structure will just be bad. So he attacks the knight, which is supporting the center. Makes sense. But he would have to give up his bishop for it, so if I just castle, and he just takes the pawn, and I take, and he takes, I mean, there's no need for that. I'm not sure how else to support it though. I'm trying to look for moves where I don't take his pawn and help him develop. If you push and sack it, I mean, you could do that, but I don't want to do that. Queen e2. Now, castles would be the only other real move, but he could take. Okay, I'll just take it. Since I don't see the correct move, I'll just play a playable move. That keeps all of my advantages other than that pawn. But I have an easy development and my position will be still really good. Because he still has an isolated pawn, a terrible pawn structure. So I'm not worried or anything, that's for sure. I think I want to continue developing with queen e2. But if I do that and he takes, I don't want to move my queen again. So let me castle actually. I could play queen e2 next. The idea of x-raying his king, this isolated pawn, this e6 outpost. And now that we're castled, we are threatening this pawn. Finally, on move 11. So if he just jumps his knight into the center, I'll take his pawn. If he takes my knight, I'll have to take back. But then I have a nice pawn duo, so that's kind of cool. Otherwise, he can improve his queen maybe, but he takes the knight, so let's take back without thinking, and he castles. Okay, our knight is pinned. We need to develop our queen and our bishop. Let's go queen d3, just support our center, unpin the knight. Look at the c4 square, which hits a lot of targets with check and stuff. It just looks like a strong square, and it's a developing move. And if he gives up his light square bishop, I mean, who's going to be watching over all of his light squares? So I can maybe abuse the c4 square if he lets me. I don't know how he stops it exactly, though. Even if he takes the knight, I'm going to take with the rook, not the queen. I also put my queen here to physically blockade this d-pawn because I moved my d-pawn, so he can always try to sack it for some weird queen infiltration. So I just wanted to also physically blockade while unpinning. So yeah, I'm planning queen c4, and I'm planning bishop d2. In some order. I hope I wasn't muted that whole time. But this guy's thinking for a while right now. Not sure what he wants to do. So he moves his rook over, which maybe tries to prevent this. But I give a check, improving my queen with a threat on the pawn. Just targeting his weaknesses. Nice and easy. He doesn't have a choice. He's going to move his king. We'll take the pawn, and we'll see if he chooses to go here and sack stuff. If he does, I'm not going to take it. Wait, can I want to push past, can I? If he takes my knight and I take with the rook and he pushes, my bishop's kind of trapped. But if he goes here and I go here and he takes and I take with the pawn and he pushes, I can go rook d1, pinning the pawn. But he can take, pinning my rook, getting a queen, and I would have to take it. So maybe pushing was an interesting move. But now that he's not doing that, he's hanging more material. That's a second pawn. Now his bishop is shooting at nothing. Our queen's on a great outpost with a new threat. c3 incoming to solidify. He can't kick my knight with a pawn, and now it's just positional domination from here on out. He attacks the knight, but we're just going to c3 support our center. Keep it simple, blunt the bishop, no tactics. He takes the pawn, but I'm pretty sure that was defended by our bishop as well as our rook. So that's a free rook. He moves the queen, so I'll gladly get the queen trade now that we just want a rook. He's hanging more material. I mean, I'll just take it, I guess. You could bring your rooks in as you're already up 7 points of material, but since this comes with more threats and more free stuff. Okay, now he's just doing nothing. Let's open up our rook, so maybe we can checkmate this guy one day. Okay. Nice logic there. So let's go over the game. We just try to develop our pieces and affect the center. Nothing too amazing, but it's playable. And now we take this so we can play a close Sicilian without worrying about his knight abusing the d4 square. Center and development. Center and development. Improving our position for free and restriction. Yeah, you can play anything in this position. Our move's fine. He pushes past, which is not a good move. And now, forced move. It's not exactly a threat yet, but it's still a really good square for your knight. He tries to break it down. What's the best move? Oh, no, 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 not here, because we brought the knight out. He did... Yeah, he pinned the knight. Now, what's the best move here? So it is, you could castle, or you could queen e2, the two moves I wanted to play. So you don't have to take his pawn. Interesting. So if we castle and he takes, how do we play this? We still take back, and if he takes, queen e1, queen e2, everything's an advantage. He's just so weak, and taking that pawn opens up the position. So it was playable. Alright, now I know. So we take, which does help him develop, so you definitely shouldn't do this if you have other moves, and all the other moves worked. And they worked a lot better than this, so this was just a bad decision by me. But we have this nice pawn duo. He has a bunch of endgame weaknesses. I would rather be white. And we have no mistakes or blunders, just inaccuracies, and that was definitely one of them before. Okay, development in center. And now improving a piece for free. Free stuff for free. And yeah, he should try this move. So what's the best response? Okay, so you have three moves. Rook d1, pinning the pawn, which is obviously just the easiest solution. Bishop e3, developing, connecting the rooks, getting it out of the d2 threat. Oh yeah, that's another easy solution. And queen f2, which is a little worse. Okay, yeah, just one of these moves makes a lot of sense. So you are totally fine. He didn't play it. He went here, immediately giving us a winning advantage all of a sudden because he hangs a central pawn. That's why they wanted him to push it. And then just center and solidification +2, and then he hangs a piece. So that was weird. I mean, he hangs a piece, keeps going, and then just hangs another piece. So if I just want to go back to this one. Yeah, so I really didn't want to take. I even mentioned it that I don't want to take, but inside I really didn't want to take. So if you go queen e2, and he takes your knight, so they do want you to move the queen again. So if you g takes f, really gives away your advantage. So you have to maintain this structure. So you move this again, and now if he takes your pawn to try to free himself, we still just castle. He takes our pawn, we develop. We're +2. So we're down one pawn. But rook a1's coming. His position's fairly terrible, but I suppose he'll go here. If you just casually develop, he can develop too. And you still have to find accurate moves, I guess, to not let him catch up. Like knight d6. If you just don't find the fancy moves, you kind of don't have a huge advantage, but you have an obviously good position. Alright, that makes sense. In a longer game, I'd have more time to actually look at the position. But hopefully you guys can see this awesome piece activity. At the cost of a pawn, all of his weaknesses, there's no way it's not worth it. So good luck in your chess. Submit your rapid games so I can review them for free. Goodbye.